Well, about 4 days ago, I made a video that was all about Lighthouse and its required quests. There's a certain portion of that video that just covers the rogue compound, and in that portion of the video, I mentioned that all the rogues will push you as long as you're sitting in some of the rooms inside of the warehouses. So because I made a video on how to easily complete these quests inside of the rogue compound, guess what was included inside of the patch a couple days ago? A change to the rogue AI. BSG ended up changing how the rogue AI works back to what it originally was, which means they're no longer going to push you as aggressively as they just were. So, I decided I'm going to make a video on how to correctly take the rogues, just like how we used to back when Lighthouse first came out. If any of this is helpful to you, consider leaving a comment, like, or subscribe. I make Tarkov and Destiny content since those are the games I like and know the most about. I also live stream 3 to 4 times a week in the afternoon, so feel free to stop by whenever you want. The times are iffy, but have been recently around 6 to 7 PM EST. If you have any questions about literally anything, let me know and I'll help you as soon as I can. I just ask that you give me some time to finish up what I'm doing. Before I show you straight gameplay of killing rogues and how to do it, I will recommend some cheap kits to kill them with and then show you a quick map of all the possible paths you can take so you can decide what's best for you. Some of these are only good for USECs, since on Lighthouse, USECs get an added benefit of grace periods for the rogues, while bears do not. Bears will always be shot on sight unless you have unlocked Lightkeeper and paid for his services, which, let's be real, if you've done that, you're not watching this video anyways. Just remember to bring a couple of grenades to help yourself get out of bad spots. Grenades will force the rogues to make noise and move around, which is extremely vital when you put yourself in a bad position. Alright, here's 2 gun builds I recommend and personally use during some of my runs. All of my builds are using around level 3 to 4 armor, since the rogue turrets will one-tap you regardless. Our first gun is an AKM series weapon with PS ammo. Here's a screenshot of my build, so pause the video or take a screenshot so you can save it. PS ammo is easily accessible early game and is pretty decent ammo compared to the other calibers. The main thing you're looking for on these guns is a scope that gives you a pretty hefty zoom magnification. Anything above a 4x should be fine. A good go-to and cheap option is the PSO sight, but just remember that you can't toggle the magnification of the scope. The base zoom is always what it'll be. The reason I run the PSO is because it's super cheap, and if worse comes to worse and someone gets close to me, I'll end up just point firing them instead. Just remember that BSG just nerfed point firing, so your accuracy may not be the same as it used to. And then my second loadout is going to be a Mosin or a bolt action with a cheap SMG or pistol. The Mosin build only requires the scope, either the 3.5 PU scope or the mount that allows basically any other normal scope in the game. I'd recommend throwing on a Brommet since suppressors are super useful for keeping quiet. I also run all the extra little attachments since they're super cheap and help out a good bit with the ergonomics and recoil. And for the SMG, I'm running either an MP5 or a PP19 since they're super cheap and good enough to spray down scavs or raiders when they get close enough. Regardless, you're going to end up dishing your SMG or your sniper just because you're going to end up taking the rogue weapons instead. Remember not to build into anything too crazy because you're just going to dish the weapon anyways. Alright, now let's move on to the pathing. The first path is mainly for USECs only. This path will take you from the beach on the left side of the rogue compound all the way through building 3, which will allow you to kill all the roof gunners. Then all you have to deal with are the remaining ground troops that spawn in the middle around the helicopter if you get unlucky and they spawn in. The second path is going to be from the right side of the camp and is completely safe for either USEC or bear. You're going to start from this bridge area, then walk down the road, killing the front 2 gunners, the front gunner of building 3, and then into building 3 to continue what you do for path 1. The third path is also safe for USECs and bears, but goes on the right side of the compound, up the blue wall, and into building 1, where you'll also take your time clearing and killing the remaining roof rogues. The only difference with this one is that your roof rogues most likely won't be dead, and you won't be able to see the armored train station roof gunner either. This means you're going to have to take a little bit of extra time to scout out roof rogues and kill them later. The final path is also mainly for USECs only, but you can do this with bear too if you're ballsy as hell and want to do a 50-50 push. Which unfortunately, if you get a bad spawn, you're probably going to have to YOLO it anyways. I just want to let you know that all the other paths are better than this one, so I'm not going to recommend this one. This is just a worst comes to worst kind of situation. You're going to start off on the mountain, and if you're a bear, you're going to have to quickly clear the close roof gunners on building 1, then book it into that building. The reason we're booking it into that building is because it's super hard to get a good angle on the close building 2 gunner, the front right one, with all the claymores that are on the mountains now. And since we're a bear, all the rogues are automatically aggroed onto us. On the other hand, USECs can take their time with positioning and try to kill the building 2 gunner first, then kill the close gunners if they can see them, and then calmly walk down into building 1 to continue the route for our last path. Now that was just a quick overview for all of them so you can decide which one you want to go to and you can skip to the chapter. Just before we get into how each of these are going to work, I'm not going to specifically cover how to kill the ground rogues in the middle since they're pretty rare to see. Also, by the time that you're done killing all the rogues, you should have access to whatever angles you want to kill the couple of rogues in the middle of the compound if they decide to spawn in. So just keep that in mind. Alright, let me show you in game and I'll explain the paths there more in detail. For all you USECs, path 1 we're going to be starting on the beach. On this beach side, you can safely take the front rogue gunners from afar without being shot, but once you land or kill a rogue, you'll be aggroed for the rest of the raid. so make sure to bring decent ammo and hit a headshot. If you want to leave the front 2 gunners alive to deal with other players, you can just straight up skip these guys, walk down by the beach to the gigantic rock where the scav extract is, and then you can sit there and snipe the 2 roof gunners on building 3 instead. If you can only kill the front gunner on building 3, that's okay, since we can just walk inside and take care of the other guy later. You'll want to clear the ground rogues if there's any, then run your way inside the building, or keep walking up the side of the beach, all the way just before the armored train station. You can then pop up and slowly lean peek the remaining gunner on building 3 if you didn't kill him already. Now the way I personally recommend doing this would is skip all the beach stuff I just mentioned after you killed the front gunner on building 3, and then walk your way straight inside after clearing the ground rogues if they spawn. Clear the inside of the building, then walk into the room above the operating room area. You're going to slow lean peek the 2 far gunners on building 1, then slow lean peek the far right gunner on building 2, then slow lean peek the close left gunner on building 2, and finally slow lean peek the final gunner at the back of building 2 that's facing the armored train station. Once all the roof gunners are dead on the other buildings, you're going to walk out the other side of your building towards the armored train station and slowly walk backwards while looking up at the roof. You don't need to adjust your normal walking speed or anything, but watch your roof to see where your final gunner is if you didn't kill him before. You should just be able to see his head at the turret and kill him easily. For path 2, which any faction can use, you're going to walk up the bridge and then head down the road to the left. You're going to sit behind this truck and lean peek this first close gunner on the red container. Once he's dead, push up the wall all the way to the first open gate. You should quickly check around the front area to make sure that the other gunner hasn't gotten off his turret to try and push you or run around and put himself in a different spot than normal. Once you're in the clear, and even if you haven't killed him yet, position yourself in the middle of these containers that have the multiple windows and slowly lean peek the front gunner on building 3. You need to be careful while doing this because one wrong move and he'll just blast you with the turret through the containers and kill you. Take the roof gunner out and try to bait out the other front gunner. Remember those grenades I was telling you to bring? Toss a grenade over the containers, which should force the rogue to yell and start running to take some cover. Doing this allows you to know exactly where he is and secure an easy kill on him. Once you're done, run your way up the wall, check the front of the building for ground rogues and clear them if they're there, and then run your way into the building. If that's a little too aggressive and risky for you, you can take a little more time and try walking back across the bridge once the front gunners are dead. Vault over the railing, then run your way up to the scav extract rocks. You can then clear the ground rogues and walk safely into the building from the rock. Once you're inside, we're going to clear the building and then go into the room above the operating room area. You're going to slow lean peek the 2 far gunners on building 1, then slow lean peek the far right gunner on building 2, then slow lean peek the close left gunner on building 2, and finally slow lean peek the final gunner at the back of building 2 that's facing the armored train station. Once all the roof gunners are dead on the other buildings, you're going to walk out the other side of your building towards the armored train station and slowly walk backwards while looking up at the roof. You don't need to adjust your normal walking speed or anything, but watch your roof to see where your final gunner is if you didn't kill him before. You should just be able to see his head at the turret and kill him easily. Path 3, which is also good for either faction, will have us walking up to the right side of the camp and hugging the blue fence. While walking up this wall and into the building, you need to be very careful that you aren't sticking out too far towards the mountain. If you do so, the front right gunner from building 2 can and will shoot you and kill you. Make sure the whole time you're as close to the compound wall as possible. While we're walking up, we're going to be looking at the roof and this metal door to make sure no rogues are looking at us. Once we make it up to the wall closest to the building, we're going to toss a grenade over to clear ground rogues, then run around the side and into the window. Clear the building for any enemies, then walk into the room up a floor and across the hall. We're going to be doing almost the same exact roof clearing as we did from the other side of the compound, but this version is just a little bit worse since we can't see some of the rogues. Kill the far building's gunners, then shoot the far left gunner and close right gunner on building 2. If you can't kill the close right gunner through the metal stairs, or you just don't want to attempt shooting and hitting the metal stairs, walk your way to the back of the building and slow lean peek through the crack of the door to easily kill him. Just make sure that you don't walk too far right or he'll end up shooting you through the door and kill you. Once you've killed all 4 of those front rogues, you should be able to walk straight up into the building 2, but if you want to be safe, turn around while you're walking out the door, toss a grenade up into the building roof that you were just in, then book it straight into building 2. Usually the roof rogues on building 3 are pretty tame and don't peek over the edges, which means you usually don't have to kill them, but better safe than sorry, right? Once we're into building 2, you can go up a floor and into the rooms closest to the middle of the compound to try and clear building 3's gunners. After finishing whatever you're doing in building 2 and you've cleared it all, remember that you still have the one guy up on your roof at the back of armored train station. Walk around to the back of the building outside where his machine gun is and slowly walk up the hill while facing him. You should be able to easily kill him, kind of like we did with the building 1 gunner at the back, allowing you to freely cover the rest of the compound. And finally, path 4, which is going to be mainly USEX, but if you get really unlucky and you're a bear, this is like a 50-50 and you might end up dying. While I don't recommend this option really at all, if you get the spawn at the mountain and you get unlucky enough where another team gets to spawn just next to you, you're basically forced to take this path or take the one-on-one fight with the players. You're going to walk up to this area and then run up the mountain just a little bit. Be careful navigating around the mountain because if you go too far up the rocks, you're going to hit claymores and instantly die. Hide behind this cover and then lean peek to see if this gunner is on the turret. If the gun is angled upwards, that means they're not on it, and if it's facing straight outwards, that means they are on the turret. If your ammo is strong enough to pen through the metal sheet, then you could try to kill him, but it's not necessary. Just make sure that the rest of the roof is clear, since we're going to end up running straight down this mountain and into that building. And if they're looking straight at us, you're probably going to get shot and die. I'm going to highly recommend popping painkillers and then booking it straight down the side of the mountain, just like I'm doing here. The main way we'll end up dying here is if we get shot at by the building 2 front right gunner, so try to use the trees and the hills to your advantage like I am here. Also, if the ground rogues spawn in on this building, you might be in line of sight for them too, so be careful. Once again, this is like a 50-50 method, especially on bears, so just pray you make it into the building. Once you hop in through the window, you're going to continue the same exact strategy as path 3. Clear the building for any enemies, then walk into the room up a floor and across the hall. We're going to be doing almost the same exact roof clearing as we did from the other side of the compound, but this version is just a little bit worse since we can't see some of the rogues. Kill the far building's gunners, then shoot the far left gunner and close right gunner on building 2. If you can't kill the close right gunner through the metal stairs, or you just don't want to attempt shooting and hitting the metal stairs, walk your way to the back of the building and slow lean peek through the crack of the door to easily kill him. Just make sure that you don't walk too far right or he'll end up shooting you through the door and kill you. Once you've killed all 4 of those front rogues, you should be able to walk straight up into the building 2, but if you want to be safe, turn around while you're walking out the door, toss a grenade up into the building roof that you were just in, then book it straight into building 2. Usually the roof rogues on building 3 are pretty tame and don't peek over the edges, which means you usually don't have to kill them, but better safe than sorry, right? Once we're into building 2, you can go up a floor and into the rooms closest to the middle of the compound to try and clear building 3's gunners. After finishing whatever you're doing in building 2 and you've cleared it all, remember that you still have the one guy up on your roof at the back of Armored Train Station. Walk around to the back of the building outside where his machine gun is and slowly walk up the hill while facing him. You should be able to easily kill him, kind of like we did with the building 1 gunner at the back, allowing you to freely cover the rest of the compound. Now that you have all these paths to choose from, you should be free to practice in offline mode or in real raid if you don't care enough to do all that practicing stuff. Honestly, I think the method of taking rogues now is how it always should have been, and I'm glad that BSG changed it back. But it's just super unfortunate that I literally just made a video about lighthouse questing, and in that video I didn't include any of the rogue taking concepts. Hopefully this was helpful enough for you guys, and if it was, feel free to let me know by leaving a comment, like, or subscribe. If that isn't enough, there's also the members program you can join by pressing the big join button on my channel. There's no real benefits besides some cool badges and emotes or whatever, and maybe early access to videos if I decide to post them early enough. Just remember that this is a subscription-based model, so please make sure to cancel whenever you're done. And just remember that if you ever need any help with anything I've covered in my videos, or if you have any other questions, feel free to join my stream whenever I'm live, and it doesn't matter what game I'm playing, I just ask you to give me a second to finish up what I'm doing. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you around.